I had some leftover chocolate and it wasn't enough to save. It was delicious, but it's just a tiny little bit. So I thought what I would do is whip up some peanut butter banana and mix it with the chocolate, and I think it'll turn out really good. So I'm going to take one of my bullet cups. About one of these would fill the whole thing, so I'm not going to fill this whole thing full. But I am going to use most of this banana. I would use probably a whole banana for the whole thing, so I'm going to use maybe 3/4 of banana. I'm just going to break it apart. I'm going to put some protein powder, maybe like not quite a full scoop because I'm not making a whole thing full, maybe 3/4 of a scoop. I'm going to put some, I'm going to make this a light, fairly light ice cream. So I'm going to use some almond milk. Up to there. I want it to be very peanut buttery tasting. So even though I said it's going to be a light ice cream, it's going to have quite a bit of peanut butter. So I'm going to put 2 full scoops, big scoops of this peanut butter. I find that, in fact, a little bit more. The more peanut butter, the better. I know it's high calorie, but it's high protein, so it'll be okay. I always like to add vanilla, especially to my peanut buttery concoctions. I think it tastes better, so I'm just going to pour some in there. I'm actually going to put some vanilla bean. And I felt like my chocolate needed a little bit more of a chocolate flavor. So I'm going to add some cocoa, but I'm not going to add it to my cup here. I'm going to add it directly to my ice cream. My chocolate, because I'm going to try to keep them fairly separate. Add a little chocolate, and then I felt that this chocolate needed a little bit of sugar, so I'm going to take my Splenda, that's the sugar substitute I like to use, add that in there. Mix it up. I'm going to blend this up, and then I'm going to add that to the top here, and I'm probably going to use a new container just because it'll look neater, because this one kind of has scrape marks all over it from the old chocolate. I'd rather just use a new one, clean this one up for next time. After blending this up, I tasted it. It tasted good. I think it has plenty of banana. I think it needs a little bit of sugar, and I'm a little concerned that it's not going to emulsify well. So a trick that I've seen a lot of people use is they use a little bit of cottage cheese in their healthy ice creams to make it cream up nicely. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm going to taste it again before I freeze it. I added this to a nice clean container, so I'm going to label this peanut butter, banana, and chocolate. I filled it up to the max line. As you can see, the peanut butter and the chocolate is not completely mixed up. It doesn't really matter because it's all going to be blended together after I freeze it. If I wanted to keep this separate flavors, I would have frozen the bottom and then frozen the top and spun it separately, but I didn't really think that mattered so much for this one. I took this out of the freezer. It did have a little bit of a lump on the top after freezing it for 24 hours, so I just scraped it off with a spoon, and now I'm going to spin it on the light setting. After the first run through, it's pretty frosty, kind of has balls in it, which is totally normal. I'm just going to take my spoon, run it around the edge to decide how much more time it needs and if it needs a little bit of liquid. I would say it's pretty thick, so it's not ready to be ice cream yet, but I don't think it needs any liquid at this point. I would just run it once on the mix-in setting, even though I'm not doing a mix-in, because I don't want to over-mix it. I think that was a good choice. After running it through the mix-in, this is a perfect ice cream consistency. It looks like it's gonna spoon out perfectly into a nice ball. If I would have run it on the other setting, on the respin setting, it would have been way too thin. hard part is getting it off of the ball. So this is my peanut butter chocolate ice cream. It's got a nice consistency. It looks like it's perfect ice for ice cream. Couple of mix-ins, they're not mix-ins, but a couple of toppings that I was thinking might be nice. Maybe before I do toppings, I should taste it just by itself. The flavor is really good. It's not super icy, but it doesn't have as smooth of a texture as I would hope for. It's still good, but I'm thinking maybe if I would have put in a little bit more gelatin pudding or guar gum, it would have made it just a little bit more smooth. It's still good. Now, as far as toppings go, I'm going to add a little bit of walnut and a little bit of chocolate covered almonds that we made the other day, and have it that way, and I think it'll be even better. After I let this one melt a little bit, it was actually much improved. It's not icy at all. It's very smooth and delicious.